I got you a little bit with the title, didn't I? Um, it was actually an incredibly beautiful experience. But man, it was so tough. Like, probably the toughest thing I've ever done in my life so far. 10 days of silent meditation in a center where you leave your phone, there is no way of communicating with the outside world, you don't talk to the other people, and you're just there focusing on yourself, focusing on your internal processes in silence. And I learned about this type of center around 10 years ago from another YouTuber called Frank Yang. Incredible content, super inspiring and creative person. And he made some videos where he talked about going to a center somewhere and spend 10 days in complete silence meditating for multiple hours per day. And I thought it looked like something interesting. It kind of caught my attention. I felt like, this is something that I would want to try at some point in my life. But not now, because I was too afraid. I was too scared to go in there and not be able to talk to anyone for 10 days, not be able to exercise for 10 days, not be able to eat the foods that I want for 10 days. I was afraid. I was afraid of what would come up. I felt really, really anxious about it when I thought about not being able to exercise for 10 days. And so I put it off. I wasn't ready at the time, and that was 10 years ago. But it stuck in my mind somehow. It really stuck in my mind. And, I kind of sometimes considered going there, but then again, the fear would come up and I would not do it. But this year, 2022, was finally the year that I felt ready to go in. And I must say, I'm going to be really honest with you, that I wanted to go home every single day. From the first day I entered to the last day, I wanted to go home every single day. But I made the commitment to stay there for 10 days, and you're invited to do so. When you enter the center, you get a document where you actually sign up. You sign up and you declare that you will stay the whole 10 days and that you will not leave earlier. Of course you can if you really want to. You're not obliged. There will be no legal consequences if you leave earlier. But it's highly advised that you stay there, because it is actually a very deep surgical operation of your internal workings and mind and matter. They get really, really thoroughly investigated. And so let's imagine you go to a doctor in the hospital, a surgeon, for a surgery, and he starts cutting your chest open. And then halfway through, you're like, oh no, I don't want this. And you just walk out of the surgery room with your chest cut open. That is not good. You'll get into trouble if you do that. And so the idea behind the 10-day retreat is that you want to stay there for the whole 10 days, because it's a deep surgical operation of your internal workings. And if you leave, then you might cause yourself more harm than good, right? So I knew it was going to be hard, but I never thought it was going to be this hard. I will explain a little bit about the daily schedule so you guys have an idea of what a day looks like in a center like that. And then I will continue to talk a little bit more about my personal experiences. So first off, you enter the center the day before it starts, on day 0, and you get to talk a little bit with the people. You get to get to know the center a little bit, and then at 8 p.m. the first meditation starts. So you start meditating at 8 p.m. After that, there is a discourse. Every evening there is a discourse where S.N. Goenka, the founder of these centers, he is an Indian person if I'm not mistaken, and he started in 1993, I think, or 1992 with these centers. And no, he died. He died in 1992 or 1993. But there is videotapes of his teachings. And so every evening we watch a 1 hour lecture of Goenka. And so we meditate for 8 hours, we watch the first lecture, we go to sleep, and then the next morning we wake up at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. That's already quite a challenge if you're used to waking up later. And so you get up 4 a.m., you have 30 minutes of time to get ready, and then at 4:30 the first meditation starts in the big meditation hall. There's a big meditation hall where everybody can come together. Men and women, they're separated. So we live together with the men in one part of the center and then the women in the other part. But during the meditation, the common meditation, you can come together in the meditation hall. And so we start meditating at 4:30 until 6:30. That's the first meditation, 2 hour sit. You start off strong. So I went in and I started off strong with the 2 hour sit. And then after that we have breakfast from 6:30 until 8. We have free time to rest because I'm telling you, you will need to rest. And then after that it's a joint meditation. So the first one in the morning, you can actually decide whether you want to stay in your room or go to the meditation hall. But the one from 8 till 9 is together, so you have to be there. And then from 9 till 11 there is another sitting. Then we have lunch from 11 till 1. Then from 1 till 2:30 there is another meditation session in your room or in the hall. 2:30 till 3:30 together in the meditation hall. There's 3 meditation sessions where you have to be in the meditation hall all together because the teachers are there for those meditations. So 2:30 till 3:30 meditating. Then from 3:30 till 5 another session. You can go to your room if you want to. And then there is a small break, tea break. Then from 6 to 7 another group meditation. From 7 to 8 there is the discourse. So you watch the lecture of Goenka, it's to 8:15 something. And then from 8:30 until 9 there's the last meditation, and then you go to your dorms and you get ready to sleep, and then you go to sleep at around 9:30. So that's about 10 to 11 hours of meditation per day for 10 days. It's a lot of meditation. And so I went in with this idea of, okay, I'm going to give this a fair try. I want to go in, commit, and really give this a fair try. But I have a history of really pushing myself. If I make a commitment and I go in seriously, I do that. And I go hard. And that was a big mistake. Because the first day, you wake up at 4 a.m., you're already a little bit tired. And so I practiced before, a little bit preparation, 20 minutes sit, 30 minutes sit. I built it up until 1 hour sits. But the one in the morning was 2 hours, from 4:30 to 6:30. And I go in and I'm like, this is tough. This is really tough. Imagine sitting for 2 hours on the floor. You're gonna get aches and pains eventually. Like, it's inevitable. But I didn't really know this. So I was just trying to push through that discomfort, pushing through that pain, reacting to it, and just suffering all the way through, right? And so the 2 hours sit was done. I was like, is this what I'm gonna be doing for the next 10 days? Oh my God, I wanna go home right now. But then again, I was like, okay, let's give it a fair try, right? So then the breakfast, the break, then we do the meditation all together, 1 hour, another break, an hour and a half, okay. So that went on for 10 hours, and at the end of the day, I was going to my bed, and I was so exhausted. Like, I don't think I felt so tired in my life in a long time. Excuse me. And I was laying in my bed, and I'm like, how am I gonna last for 10 days? How am I gonna do this? But you go to sleep, and at 4 a.m. in the morning you get up and you go at it again. And so the first 3 days, Goenka teaches you the basics, the foundation of the Vipassana meditation technique, because it's a meditation technique, and you start off with simply Anapana. So it's simply just focusing on the breath and doing that for multiple hours a day. So you just breathe in, breathe out, and you focus on what is happening in this small area of your body, and you start to zoom in really closely. And so, I was doing this for 10 hours, 20 hours, 25 hours. I was sitting there and thinking to myself, what the hell am I doing? I'm just sitting here focusing on my breath, and I'm hurting. It's so uncomfortable. I'm tired. I want to go. I don't want to stay. But then again, thinking about my commitments and going with the flow. And so, what I forgot to mention is that you get the breakfast, and then you get the lunch, and then there is no dinner. So there's only 2 times a day you get food, and then in the afternoon at 5 you get a piece of fruit if you want to, and some tea. But the old students, they actually can't eat fruit, so they have 2 meals per day, and that's about it. And this enhances your meditation practice, because food can make you heavy, it can distract you. So that is definitely something that I also needed to adjust to, even though it was not the hardest thing. The not talking and the only eating twice a day is the easiest part of the whole thing. It is sitting for such long hours on the floor, not moving, that is the most difficult part. So after 3 days of doing Anapana, just just noticing the breath, which is a challenge in and of itself, right? Because there's a very loud plane. I hope it's not too much. I'm so distracted right now. Woo! Okay, anyways, so it's a challenge in and of itself, because your monkey mind, ka-ching, 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 with these drum sounds in your mind, and you go there and you go there, and it's like, no, just stay with the breath. What am I doing here? Okay, stay with the breath. My back is hurting. Okay, stay with the breath. Just, practicing this, it's a challenge. But then, after the 4th day or so, Goenka teaches you the Vipassana meditation. And I'm like, okay, yes, finally something new. I will find some new strength. Let's go for it, right? And he explains the technique, which is basically the first few days you work on sharpening your mind. You focus on this area and you try to really feel all the small sensations that are going on in this area. The breath, cold, hot, tingling, whatever it may be, okay? The reality as it is, the reality as it pertains to your physical body, your physical structure. You try to zoom into that really closely, okay? And as your mind sharpens, you prepare yourself to get ready for the real Vipassana technique, which is basically scanning your whole body and not looking for, but just feeling all the sensations that are going on in your body. Because our bodies are constantly experiencing sensations all the time. And our subconscious, so-called subconscious mind, brain, is aware of this 24/7, okay? It's monitoring all the cells in our bodies. All the processes are going on. The subconscious mind is aware of this all the time. But it's our conscious mind that is not, because it's not sharp enough, it's not subtle enough, okay? And so by practicing this technique, by first doing the Anapana, sharpening your mind, and then focusing on the Vipassana technique, which scans your whole body part by part, piece by piece, you learn to zoom in, you go subtler and subtler, and you go from the gross painful sensations, the big thoughts, the feelings, the things, you go more subtle, and then you pass the barrier where you tap into the subconscious part, and you become aware of all these small parts in the body. And Buddha went so far that he discovered, simply by paying attention, that we are made out of subatomic particles. So he went so deep, he sharpened his mind so much that he zoomed into the cells in his body, then deeper, until he discovered that we are made out of subatomic particles. Before science discovered this, he just did that by sitting still and focusing his mind. Incredible. And so that's what you are invited to do the next days. But for me, this scanning of my body it takes so much energy. Like it really exhausts me to be so focused on all these parts and scan and go through. I was thinking, am I doing this right? Do I what is supposed to happen? All these questions start to arise, but you just have to pay attention to what is going on right now. The reality as it is right now, as it is happening inside your body or on the surface of your body. And that is a big part of the technique, is to just observe the reality as it is, not as you want it to be, but as it is. But in practice, it's really difficult because you're sitting there, you're hurting. I want this to be different, and I have to just observe it and be equanimous with it. Just stay with that feeling, observe it as it is, as a sensation, and no longer react to it or respond to it, because our minds are conditioned to react to aversion and craving. So when we attach to a sensation that we love, that we like, we want more, then we suffer when we don't get it. And when we attach to a sensation or an experience that we don't like and we react with aversion, we want to get away, when it stays, we suffer. So this technique is a way for us to make us aware of this mental habit pattern of always reacting to aversion and craving. And that way, by becoming aware of it and by staying equanimous and balanced with whatever comes up, pleasant or unpleasant, we train our minds to stay equanimous, balanced, peaceful in the middle, and that eradicates our suffering. So this technique is a universal way to come out of our miseries, because misery is everywhere, all the time. It's in my life, it's in your life, it's in everyone's life. But it is mainly caused by how our minds react to our circumstances, to our physical structure. And when we go deeper and when we understand that anger is also a physical sensation in the body, it's heat, it's tension, it's discomfort, okay? We feel these things, our subconscious mind feels these sensations, we react. We react with aversion, we react with craving, whatever it may be, but it causes suffering. And so when we stay equanimous with whatever is happening in our bodies right now, whatever is happening in our minds right now, we just observe it, we don't react to it. That is a way for us to come out of misery. But this is a long process. I mean, you don't get to enlightenment in 10 days. And personally, I don't have the goal of reaching enlightenment. For me, developing these techniques is to improve myself as a human being, to tap more into compassionate love, to reduce my misery, to come out of my misery, but not ultimately end up being an enlightened person living in a cave somewhere in the Himalayas. No, I want to just learn to be a more kind, compassionate, giving person. And by observing myself, by learning how I respond and react to everything that is going on within my body, I can then understand others better. I can revert the mental habits and patterns that I have in my life and change them so I can be a better person. Okay? So this is the main premise of the technique. It's a way for us to come out of misery by becoming aware and by staying equanimous. So it's awareness and equanimity, balance, right? So we're aware of how we react. We revert that process, we stop reacting, and we stay balanced. But again, this is theoretical. This is way easier said than done, because when you're sitting there for 5 hours after like one another, of course there's breaks in between, but man, you react with aversion, a lot of aversion. I want to get rid of this, I'm done, I want to go home, I can't do this, blah blah blah, all these thoughts. Okay, but then again, I needed to focus and balance my mind, not respond with aversion, and just explore it as a sensation in the body and go deeper, more subtler. And eventually the pain, the discomfort dissolves, and it becomes just a passing and arising of sensations, Everything is impermanent, the law of impermanence, everything. We get born, we die, okay? The sun rises, the sun sets. we encounter misery, the misery ends. Okay, there is always a coming and going, a surge. It comes up and it goes away, it passes away, it arises, it passes away all the time. The law of impermanence, anicca, that is what is it called in the old Indian language. Anicca, 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 that is what Goenka always says. And so I continued to work, but at some point I was just so exhausted, so tired. And during one of my meditations, I realized, okay, I am pushing myself too hard. I need some time to rest, man. I can't do this. I'm broken. I'm a broken man. I felt like a completely broken man. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I had so many times where I was just like, how am I going to move through this experience? And then somehow I discovered that it was not clear to me that you can go to your room and meditate. I always thought I have to stay in the meditation hall, and I committed to that. I want to be there and stay there. But at some point I couldn't. So I discovered that we can actually go to our rooms, and even though it's encouraged to meditate with a straight spine, an upward spine, you can also, if you want to, lay down. And so I decided to, during the meditation hours that I didn't have to be in the hall, go to my room and just lay down and meditate on my bed. And that really helped me move through the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th day, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I felt like, no, I'm moving past my boundaries. It's too much. But then at the 7th day, I had a very, very strange experience where I was laying in my bed during one of the meditations, and I had this super intense, painful, uncomfortable sensation in one side of my body. It was this arising of some kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It was this tense, tingling, painful sensation. It was like in my how would I say, nerves, kind of like that. Not in my bones, not in my muscles, but in my nerves, kind of like this very strange, painful, incredibly uncomfortable sensation that it arose and it reached the peak, and then it went down again, and then a few seconds later it arose, it reached the peak, and I was laying in my bed, I was like trying to resist, like I felt this, and I wanted to shake it, I wanted to get rid of it, and I got aware of the aversion that I was feeling. I get so uncomfortable, get the hell out of my body right now, so much aversion. And then I try to come back to the breath, try to feel the sensation, stay equanimous with it, accept the reality as it is, observe, observe, observe. But it was just too much. I couldn't do it. I was just, I don't know what to do. I felt almost like I was panicking almost. I was like, how do I deal with this? Because it was fast. It came up. It swelled, and then it went back. So I didn't really have the time to, because if you have like a pain in your back, you can really focus because it's there. It's slow. It's maintaining itself, kind of. It's not like this passing and arising fast. So it was difficult for me to pay attention to it. I was so uncomfortable. And then the bell rang, the gong, so they ring the gong per hour. So I was not wearing a watch, I didn't have a phone, so I didn't know what time it was. So they ring the gong when the session is over. And so they rang the gong, and then it kind of stopped. And I was like trying to ask myself, is it gone? Are you gone? I was talking to myself, are you gone now? Is it okay? And I didn't trust it, and I could feel it simmering a little bit, because before I could feel when it was coming up. I knew, okay, there's another one coming, it's not over yet, there's another one coming, it's not over yet. And then I could feel it simmering a little bit, but it was very strange, like it was like you're kind of lying to yourself now, or what is going on? And I didn't trust it. It was very weird to be communicating with this incredibly uncomfortable sensation in my body. And then it kind of snapped in my mind, like the this is not good for me. It's not good for me. I'm pushing myself too hard. It's not good. I am abusing myself. And then I lost faith in the technique. That moment I lost faith in the technique. I was like, okay, I'm done. And I disengaged. I really disengaged, and it was a very painful experience for me. Because I wanted to believe. I wanted to believe that this technique is going to help me get out of my misery. It's going to help me become a better person. But right now it feels as if it's simply a tool for further self-abuse, because I come from a history of insane self-abuse, eating disorder, exercise addiction, just all this stuff where I didn't let myself rest, where I was pushing myself through the discomfort, cycling for 5 hours a day until I couldn't anymore. I wanted to give up every single day. This was kind of the same experience, so I was like, no, I need to rest, and I disengaged. And so the next few days, I committed to showing up for the group meditations, the 3 hours a day in the meditation hall. But outside that, when the meditation hours in your room, I was either sitting outside in the sun or laying down on a towel, and sometimes I went to my room to meditate. But the problem was, every time I went in to meditate, I became like so anxious. I felt so anxious because I was afraid that this sensation would come up again, and I would have to fight it off again. I didn't want to. I was afraid. I was really afraid of these. It was so uncomfortable, so painful. So I didn't want that. So I sat down, and my heart started racing. And so the 8th day or so, I went to one of the group meditations, and I'm sitting down, and my heart started racing like crazy. And I felt so anxious, like, oh my God, I'm gonna have this experience again. I don't want that. Bam, 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 all this thought. Big panic attack, big anxiety attack, and I was just sitting there. And during the group meditation, sometimes the teachers, they call the students to the front, a few students, like 10 students or so, and then they meditate together, and the teacher asks you, like, is it working? Do you feel your body when you're scanning your body, etc.? And then he asks, how do you feel? And so he was asking all the people, all the students, and then eventually I was the last person, and he asked, like, do you feel the sensations in your body when you're applying the technique? And I was like, yes, very much so. And then he's like, how do you feel? I'm like, extremely anxious. I haven't felt this anxious in my life for years. And he's like, just accept it. And I didn't know what to say. I was like, okay, I know that, but man, I was so disappointed by that answer. But later on, of course, after reflecting, his answer was right. But in that moment, I kind of wanted just, some I don't know, some empathy maybe, or something. And so I was just, I don't know, I didn't know what to do. So then after we meditate like for 10 minutes together with the teachers, we could go to our rooms, and I just got up and I went outside, and I lay down on the grass, and I was like, I have to go. I can't stay no longer. What is this? What is this? What am I doing? And so I was laying there, and I was like, man, my heart was still racing, but luckily by being outside, hearing the birds and stuff, I kind of like calmed down a little bit. And then one of the other students, he came outside. And so there's noble silence, so you can't speak to anyone, you can't even make eye contact. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be working with yourself, not getting distracted by other people. You can't do exercise because it distracts other people. You can't wear revealing clothes, things like this. So it's really just you and your thoughts. Okay, you and your thoughts. The most scary and difficult thing in the world, man. It's really, really intense, very intense. And so one of the guys came out, and he walked towards me, and he saw me laying there in the grass, and he's like, hey man, I'm sorry I'm gonna break noble silence, but I just wanted to tell you that I feel you, I see you, and try talking to the other teacher, because so there's two teachers, a man and a woman. Try talking to her. She's a lot more understanding and compassionate than the male teacher. I feel like he's not really aware or something of what's going on. I'm like, wow, thank you so much, man. That was what I needed in this moment, like feeling acknowledged, feeling understood, a fellow human being who understands what I'm going through. What a nice man. And the funny thing is, he was like super muscular, big guy, bald, walking around on the plane, like on the grass in the garden, like a bull almost. I had all this judgment in my mind about him being just like this meathead person who, I don't know, is very unaware, not really intelligent or anything like that. And then you notice that this is a very kind, compassionate human being, super sensitive, and I was so amazed. This big muscular guy is super sensitive, and he understands what I'm going through, and I was like, such a good man, thank you so much. And I started crying when he left, and I was like, really tuning into that, I don't know, that feeling of fellowship, that just shared understanding, that acknowledgement, and his kindness. His really was so kind. And I was like, oh, this is so beautiful, so wonderful, thank you so much. Like, it pulled me through, and that was what got me through. And then I found my strength again. I was like, okay, I needed to accept it. It passes away, it arises, the anxiety arises, it passes away. Okay, give yourself some time, honor your own boundaries, and then go back in, right? And so this little moment was very important for me to continue to work, because work it is, trust me, work it is, okay? And so it's really interesting, because you see all these other people and they're going through their process, and people coming out of the meditation hall, and they're all like this, and they're suffering. And then there's a few that they come out of the hall, and they're like smiling, they're feeling light. You see how they are, moving past this pain and discovering other things, because we have all these deep layers of how would I say? It's called sankaras in the old Indian language. Sankaras. It's habitual reaction patterns to aversion or craving, and they go layer onto layer onto layer for years and years and years. So some people, they have a lot of sankaras, and sankaras, when they get released, it is through pain, it is through discomfort, or through intense craving, and then the suffering that comes with that. But if you understand this process and you stay equanimous with it, the sankara comes up and it eradicates itself. Okay, sankara comes up, it eradicates itself. But for some people, there's many sankaras. So it's really a tough cleansing process, almost like a deep surgical operation, taking out all the negativity, our reactions. Okay, and some people, they are lighter, and then they start to actually experience very subtle, pleasant sensations going through their body, not these gross, painful sensations, and they feel light, right? But again, then there is a trap where they can latch onto these pleasant feelings and start craving those, and then it's always like this. The process is never ending. Okay, arising, passing away. Work with the reality as it is pertaining to your own body right now, and that is what you observe, and stay balanced in that process. And to one of the guys who apparently had, I don't know, he enjoyed the whole process much more. He was smiling more in a way, right? And then at some point we make like eye contact, and he's smiling at me. But here in Latin America, for some reason, I am like a little candy for homosexual Latinos. They are always hitting on me all the time. When I'm out, when I'm in the street, they're looking at me, they're hitting on me, they're telling me things. And okay, I don't mind them doing that. I have a lot of very good gay friends, and I love them so much. But sometimes it's a little bit intimidating, like I don't want to make a wrong, how would I say, make them feel like I'm interested as well, because I'm not. And so in the center, one of the guys, he looked at me and he smiled, and I was like, oh no, he's another a gay guy trying to seduce me, or trying to make some kind of impression on me or whatever. So I better avoid looking at him. I don't want to give him the impression that I'm interested or anything like that. And so I try to actively avoid looking at him. But at some point, again, of course, you walk around, you run, you cross eyes when you're taking food or whatever. And I look at him again, and then he smiles at me again, and then I notice, okay, no, it's not like this predatory sexual eye contact and smiling trying to seduce, but more just like a smile, like, hey, like I'm a clown, like this. And I was like, this guy is so funny. Like, after that second time I realized, no, he's just smiling at me. Every time we pass each other, I tried to avoid it because I knew when I would look at him, I would just start cracking up. Like, it just looks like a stupid clown, honestly. It was so funny. And so you have these non-verbal interactions with people, even though you're not supposed to have them, but you can't get around it. It's not possible to do so. Like, you're just there with our bodies are constantly communicating, even the subconscious level. But so it's really interesting how you energetically can connect without words with people you don't know whatsoever, and you're going through this process, and you're it's very, very interesting. And this guy actually is the one that I'm staying with right now. So he's a yoga teacher, and we connected afterwards. And now I'm here with him, staying in his house. Fantastic experience. And so for the next 8, 9, and 8 and 10th day, I was trying to find a balance between staying in the hall and going to my room and working with this anxiety and working with these fears and noticing and trying to balance anicca, law of impermanence, arising and passing, stay with the breath, stay with the sensations, stay balanced, equanimity. But yet every day I was like, I'm done, I want to go home. But that is part of the suffering, right? You have to accept. I had to accept that, okay, I'm here. And I did that, okay? I was not crying all the time, like, oh, this is so tough, I want to go. But I had these moments for sure. And I was really going through my process. And then the last day, the 10th day, you have a meditation sessions in the morning until like 10 or so. And then you're allowed to break noble silence. And this for me was such a release, such an amazing release, because so many people, so many guys, they came up to me and they're like, wow, man, congratulations, you're still here. We all felt you were going through your process. You were struggling so much, but you stayed at it, and you committed, and you continued the work. And just that acknowledgement and the fact that they saw that, of course they can talk about it, but they saw that I was going through this process and really struggling, but then I stayed. It was such a release. And then sharing experiences with everyone, talking how was it for you, and like, of course it's difficult, and laughing. I was laughing so much that day, so much releasing, laughing, all the jokes, because it's super funny to go through this discomfort and all this these things, and then afterwards you look back and you think it's funny. It's funny, now that I look back. Oh, my back, but it's funny because you go through it, you come out of the other end. That's usually how it goes. You feel the resistance, you pass through it, you come out the other end, you feel good. And so connecting with all these people, crushing all the previous judgments that you kind of like developed over the days, right? You get this picture in your mind of this person because you don't talk, you just see them do stuff. And then they start talking and you realize, wow, there's a completely different person than I thought they would be. So that was a really, really important part of the release, of the understanding that, okay, I was not the only one who was suffering so much. I was not the only one who was going through these things. And again, a confirmation of how much I value connection, how much I value connecting with other people, how important it is for me. And that was just very, or I say, a profound integration process in a sense, okay? Because you've been silent for so long inside yourself, and then being able to share it, that was very, very important day for me. And the last day, it's some kind of cleanup. You just clean up everything and you prepare the center for the next group of people who is coming, because the centers, they're actually fully run by volunteers. There is no money involved other than donation. So it's just people giving service, people giving money. There is no commercial incentive for these centers to be there, simply because it's a technique to help other people come out of their misery. It's the Dhamma, it's the teaching of Buddha. The Dhamma is giving without expecting in return, simply because of compassion. Okay, you experience within yourself that this is indeed a way to reduce or to come out of your misery, and out of compassion you want to share it with other people. You want to teach it to other people to help them come out of their misery. There is no, I want money from you in order for you to be liberated. No, I want to give it to you out of compassion. And that is kind of the teaching of Buddha, and that is also what is permeating the whole quality of the center. So much giving, so much high vibrational energy. It's just pure giving to others in order to help you and me to come out of suffering. So this is also what happens after I finished. I understood that, wow, it was such a dark, challenging process. Very, very tough, working hard, really struggling. But when you come out, you understand, wow, this is the real medicine, man. This is the real work we all have to do if you want to become better people. And so I absolutely would recommend you to at least take a look and decide for yourself whether this is something you want to try. Because you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about the habitual patterns of your mind. How when you have an unpleasant sensation in your body, you react to it so strongly. You want to get rid of it, or you're craving it. And that is causing the suffering, that is causing the misery. And in further steps down the line, when you release the sankharas, when you get less heavy, you can start to feel free flow. You can start to feel all these sensations in your body, and you can even go so deep that you understand that even the gross, intensified, painful sensations, they are simply passing and rising at a very fast rate, because everything is impermanent. Okay, we consist of subatomic particles which are arising and passing away super fast. It's science. Quantum mechanics actually confirms this. And at very advanced stages, you can in fact experience that through deep meditation, focused mind, sharp mind, self-learn, until you reach a point where you understand that even your body, it dissolves completely, and you understand that it's not solid at all. And these ideas are very, very advanced and very hard to believe, but I am sure that at some point you can reach that stage, but I am not there at all. There is so much stuff that needs to still be processed, and my sankharas need to be resolved before you can reach that point. And it's not something that I want to hurry or that I need to attain, because again, that's craving, that's a desire. I want to get there. No, it's not like that. For me, it's not like that. I don't need to get enlightened. But doing this work is so profound. It's so profound. It's so beautiful, so amazing. I was there, and because of there is no stimulation. You can't use your phone. It's simple vegetarian food, nothing crazy, like no treats, nothing, just simple stuff. And then I was in the garden and listening to the sounds, and the wind goes through the trees, and there's like these pine trees, it's not leaves, it's like swishing, and you hear the birds and the sunshine, and it's like, wow, this is incredible. You really feel so much gratitude. I felt so much gratitude for the nature, for this opportunity, people taking care of us, cooking food. It's pure Dhamma, pure giving for the liberation of others. That is so beautiful, right? So many values that I resonate with, and all these people that I met afterwards, they're such self-aware people, so I don't know, good people. They want to make the world a better place. They want to make themselves better people. And it all starts with ourselves. If you learn how to deal with our own reaction patterns to aversion, to craving, and if we can come out of that by observing, by being aware and staying balanced, staying equanimous with whatever is going on in our lives, okay? Smile and continue. Okay, it arises and it passes away. There is a beautiful story that Goenka tells in one of his lectures, where there is 3 young boys, and the first son, he goes to the market. He needs to go get a bottle of oil, and so he goes to the market and he buys a bottle of oil, and so he pays 5 rupees. It's an Indian story that happens in India. He pays the rupees. He goes home and he trips and he falls, and the bottle falls on the ground, and he spills half the oil. And he goes home to his mom and he brings the bottle of oil, and he's like, "Oh, Mom, I spoiled half of the oil. I'm so sorry. This is so terrible." And he's crying because he spilled half of the oil, right? Then the second child, the second brother, is given the task to also go to the market to buy oil. And again, story is story. He buys the oil, he goes back home, he falls down, he drops the bottle of oil, and again he spills half the oil. And he comes back home and he's smiling, "Mom, look, I saved half the oil. I saved half the oil. It could have been complete, or I could have broken the bottle and there was no oil left, so I saved half the oil." How amazing. He's smiling, optimism. And then there is the Vipassana boy, the third boy. Again, story is story. He goes to the market, he buys a bottle of oil, he's walking back home, he trips, he falls, he drops the bottle of oil, half the oil spills, and he goes to his mom and he's smiling and says, "Look, Mom, I saved half the oil, and tonight I will go back, I will work all day to earn 5 more rupees, and tonight I'll go back to the market and I will fill the bottle until it's full again." And that is the work of the Vipassana meditator. Okay? That is you staying equanimous, staying optimistic about whatever is happening in our lives, whether it is misery or pleasure. Okay? And on top of that, we add a layer of working, of sitting in meditation, being aware, practicing equanimity. Because even if I came out of that center, of course not fully liberated, well, I'm a liberated Buddha now, completely liberated. I'm just a human being. I'm really not perfect whatsoever. And I'm also not necessarily super spiritually advanced. But even if I can be 1% more aware and react less to my aversion and my cravings, and release some of the sankharas that I have within me, feel a little bit lighter, be a little bit of a better person, give a little bit more, be a little bit less selfish, be a little bit less ego, have a little less ego, all these things, then step by step, moving on the path until, I continue to improve myself, and maybe perhaps even reach full liberation, which is not my goal, but it might eventually happen, right? So that is kind of not really in a nutshell my experience. There is so much stuff I could talk about still, so many things that I kind of worked with during these 10 days. It was a ride, man. It was a ride, and a beautiful ride. I feel so grateful that I did this, and every day I was like, no, it's not for me. This is maybe for someone like 60-year-olds who want to, rediscover their lives and spend some time in nature and all that. It's not for me. I'm a 30-year-old, a 29-year-old man in the prime of his life. I need to do other things. I want to go. I'm wasting my time here every day. But then now when I look back, I'm like, hell no. I want to do another one. Next year, I want to do another one, right? So that is really what happens when you push through and you complete it. Because 2 people actually left, one at the second day and then one at the 9th day or something. And I feel sorry for them because they were not able to experience the whole cycle coming to an end. Arising, passing away, everything is impermanent, right? So that is something that I feel incredibly grateful for. And I would highly recommend you at least read about it a little bit, check it out, dhamma.org, do some research, and perhaps try one of the retreats yourself. 10 days, pick the 10 days one, because there is 3 days ones as well and stuff, but that you don't get the benefits. Pick the 10 days one. If you can make the time, absolutely. You will learn so much about yourself. And I feel so incredibly grateful. I was able to let go of so many things, to understand how tired I am, also how much time I need to rest, and connecting with these people afterwards was the best part for me. But again, not something to latch onto and crave for, because that's again a reason to become miserable, right? So equanimity, anicca, everything is impermanent. Stay balanced, stay optimistic, know that it arises and passes away, good things, bad things all the time. But if you stay in your center, if you stay balanced, it can relieve a lot of our misery, and that is just a beautiful concept. And so that is kind of it. If I have any other things that I would like to share with you guys, I will definitely record maybe other videos. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below this video and ask me anything you want to know about this Vipassana retreat. I will gladly make other videos about this topic, because I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's definitely something that I want to share with each and every one of you. So if you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are a real OG subscriber. I really appreciate your attention, and I hope that you got something out of it. I hope that you learned something, that you maybe got inspired, that you enjoyed my little story. It's a beautiful experience, so much compassionate love, and actually the last few days there is a new part of the meditation that is added, which is called metta, and this is like loving kindness meditation, where you actually share the peace that you experience through this deep meditation with all other living beings. And this was very healing for me to work with this, because I've done some metta meditation before in the past, and it's always something that really works for me. Like I get so many benefits from that, and so adding that on top of the Vipassana meditation technique is very powerful. So yeah, I'm sending you all so much love, compassionate love, metta, and goodwill, peace. And I want to thank you so much for being part of this journey, and I hope that you enjoyed my little story, and that you might be inspired to try it yourself. I will for sure try another one, maybe even serve at one, cook the food for the people, help them come out of their misery, step by step, go more subtler, reach your subconscious mind, release the sankharas, and be at peace. Beautiful. So again, thank you so much for your attention, and as always, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.